This next story is truly fascinating. A former porter who went on to deliver thousands of babies in Milton Keynes is the subject of a new book. The Professor and I documents the life of Professor Chris Lynch, who is one of the founding fathers of the gynecological ward at MK Hospital. He then went on to save lives of millions of women by inventing a groundbreaking surgical procedure. Author Nana Oguntola has been documenting his life in her new book, The Professor and I, and joins me on the line now. Nana, thank you so much for joining us. Chris really sounds like a fascinating man. I mean, what made you want to tell his story?
Thank you for having me. I met Professor Lynch in 2010, I believe, and as soon as I heard his story, I knew I wanted to write it. And I was fascinated by the fact that he'd come from Sierra Leone, humble beginnings, and he'd gone through all the obstacles he went through to get to where he was. And I just thought, well, I hardly ever hear stories like his in the UK of such, a black person achieving so much, doing so much. I don't hear these stories. I don't see these stories. And so I was, from that moment, fascinated and wanted to tell that story.
Well, when I found out about you writing the book, and I had no idea of his story, it kind of made me think that, maybe surprised that no one had told it before. I mean, were you surprised by that as well?
I was surprised by the fact of the story. It was
Oh, we seem to have lost Nana there. We're going to see if we can try and get her back on the line. The line just went off just a little bit there. We're speaking to Nana Oguntola, who has written this book called The Professor and I, about Professor Chris Lynch, who was one of the founding fathers of the gynecological ward at MK Hospital. But as I was just saying there to Nana, it was really surprising to hear that his story hadn't actually been told before, because it's got an incredible backstory when you think about it. I mean, he went on to save the lives of millions of women by inventing this groundbreaking surgical procedure, and hopefully we're going to find out more about it very, very shortly as well. And I mean, it's incredible. It makes you think as well about the people that we have in the three counties, the people that work in whatever industry it may be, and we've probably never heard of their story before at all. No idea of, any of their work, because their story hasn't been told. It's really fascinating. And hopefully we're going to get Nana back on the line very shortly, and we'll find out a little bit more about, why she decided to write the story. Actually, we do have Nana back on the line now. Nana, thank you so much for joining us again. As I said just a minute ago, I mean, were you surprised that no one had told his story before?
I was surprised. That the story had not told. I told so low key. I was surprised that he was not even a knight, because he'd been trained by 6 knights of the realm, and yet I was surprised that after his procedure, which has saved millions of lives, there was just nothing about him. And I did do a small film about him in 2018 with young people from Milton Keynes, and that was featured. That ran for like 3 years, basically, or 2.5 years. And the young people that made the films, everybody was surprised that, this man is here in Milton Keynes. Nobody heard about him. So, yeah, amazing how stories don't get told. And when I made the film about him, I called it The Hidden Story, one of the hidden stories.
I think that's probably a very apt title. It definitely seems like that. I mean, you slightly sort of mentioned it just a few moments ago, but why is it so important to tell his story?
Well, the thing about it is, I think for black people especially, it's important for me that we see positive stories, that we see stories of achievement, of what people can do, because you don't see that regularly in the mainstream media, I feel. And I remember the look on some of these young people, especially the black young people in the college, Milton Keynes College. They were just stunned that there was someone who actually looked like them and who had done what he'd done. And I think storytelling is key in lifting people up, in encouraging people, in inspiring people. And it's important that people have that look like them, so that they can aspire to doing well, to achieving, to being successful, that is possible. Yeah.
Well, this is certainly an inspiring story, and he's certainly an inspiring man. I mean, we mentioned as well that he went on to save the lives of millions of women by inventing a groundbreaking surgical procedure. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
His invention is called the B-Lynch suture. It's something that's used to help women who are losing blood or hemorrhaging during childbirth. And it's used basically in almost every hospital in the world. Every gynecologist that's being trained will be taught about the B-Lynch suture. So it's a well-known procedure in gynecology, and it's the only invention actually in gynecology and obstetrics in the past 50 years. So it's a major invention for milking teens. It's a major invention for the UK.
And am I right in saying that the British Medical Journal was reluctant to publish the procedure as well?
Yes, they were originally. When he took it to them, they didn't want to publish it. He felt that it was because he was black that they said no. But he took it to the American Medical Journal, and they wanted to publish it. And then the British Journal relented and published it a few years later. Yeah.
That's unbelievable. It really is.
Yeah.
You talk in the book about Chris's mantra, which is tread softly among the tulips, which I think is a lovely little mantra. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, that's his mantra. He said his father taught him that. His father was a reverend minister in Sierra Leone. He died when Chris was 5. But he said his father told him always tread softly among the tulips, and that's how he is. He doesn't like to offend. He doesn't like to insist on something, even if it belongs to him or even if it's his right, he lets it go. And I always said to him, he could have maybe been more recognized, maybe got his knighthood or been celebrated more if he'd maybe crushed a few tulips. But yeah, that's his mantra.
I really love that mantra, and I'm certainly going to take that as well. I think it's a really, really lovely one. Tread softly among the tulips. I'm going to remember that, that's for sure. What do you think people can learn from Chris's journey, and what can they take from it?
Well, I think persistence and hard work. When he came here, he came with £52 in his pocket on a boat from Sierra Leone. And he worked hard, he got a scholarship, he went to Oxford, he got a degree as a lawyer, and he couldn't get work. And he ended up as a porter. And for his rugby skills and his relationships, he managed to get another scholarship to study medicine. And he really is about hard work, I think, persistence, and maybe treading softly amongst the tulips as well, because he did get a lot of support, although I think he also got a lot of, there's always problems along the way. But yeah, I think it's about being persistent, also making sure that you take your family with you as you succeed in life. I think it's important.
If people want to find the book, where can they get it from?
It's on Amazon, Amazon.com. The Professor and I by ofori-Atta Oguntola. It's right there.
Well, I hope people certainly go and buy it and read it, because it just sounds like such a fascinating story. And thank you so much for telling it in the book and also coming on and chatting to us about Chris's story.
And we're in the process of writing the screenplay, I have to add. We're going to be turning that into a movie.
Amazing. Well, we must get you back on once that is really in the works. We really look forward to that as well. Now, it's been really lovely talking to you. Before I let you go, we've asked you if you'd like to request a song this evening, and what song would you like to hear, and what's the reason why?
I said Aloe Black, My Way. I'm an independent-minded person. I like to think that I'm doing it my way. I want to make sure when I get to 80 years old and life is over that I don't regret anything. I like that song.
Absolutely, and I think Chris would agree with you on that one as well. Nana, it's been lovely talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
I've been sad, I've been lost, I've been down and out and lonely. Yeah, I've been suffering at a job in a world that tries to own me. But when I wake up every morning, there's an image of a better place. Yeah, 'cause the harder that we grind, then the sweeter is the glory. People say I'm foolish. People say I'm blinded by faith. But if I run out of there, if I crash, I don't care.
My Way on BBC Three Counties Radio, playing for my guest Nana Oguntola, who has documented this book of the incredible life of Professor Chris Lynch, who was one of the founding fathers of the gynecological ward at the MK Hospital, went on to save the lives of millions of women by inventing a groundbreaking surgical procedures, had to overcome quite a lot in his life. It's an unbelievable story. If you want to check out the book, you can find it online. You can search for Nana Oguntola is her name. Oguntola is spelt Oguntola, and the book is called The Professor and I.